Well, how do their chums? 'Tis I, Captain Opera Steves. And today I'm going to be talking about Light No Fire. Now, I am very highly anticipating this title. Don't get me wrong, I think it's got oodles of potential, just like No Man's Sky did, and it's captured my imagination, just like No Man's Sky did. But there are a couple of concerns that I have. Because we've had No Man's Sky now for a good 7 years, and there's things inside of No Man's Sky that still aren't quite where they should be. And that's where I want to air my concerns, people inside the viewerverse. So let's jump on over onto this sort of screen, just so I can make it a little bit larger. I'm just going to read some of your chat while we've got this up on screen right now. So Gunbite Willie says, "Hello games, as multiplayer is the reason why I'm waiting till Light No Fire is released and see how well it works. If they don't have multiplayer worked out, then I'm not buying it until they do. No pre-orders here." Well, I'm going to be pre-ordering this, not going to lie. Mainly because, No Man's Sky is buttering my parsnips. That's where the most of my traffic comes from. And I'd imagine as soon as Light No Fire hits the table, and it's another Hello Games studio thing, it's something I need to be covering on my channel. And not only that, I love fantasy games and I love sci-fi games. It's pretty much what I do on my channel. I will be bringing Dragon's Dogma, which is fantasy. But anyway, scrolling down, Floyd says, "Willie, if there's no multiplayer, I'm just going to wait. Watch all the vids about the game, watch people playing it, and wait months, years until multiplayer exists, and then buy and play, hoping your friends are online. I'm not even No Man's Sky superfan. Haven't played it in 3 years. Haven't played it a lot of updates. Light No Fire, still a day one purchase." Okay, so we've got a couple of different camps there, a couple of different thoughts and feelings. And, so the video that I'm doing today, people, is mainly around how No Man's Sky is currently when it comes to multiplayer. So as you know, I hit on up every Friday, the weekend mission. And every Friday, we have issues inside of multiplayer. It might be that one of the people inside of the group of 4 of us drops out, or doesn't actually manage to claim their Quicksilver at the end, or gets a crash. There's all sorts of things that happen. Sometimes you go to fly in the Nexus and your ship gets stuck. There's all sorts of weird, quirky multiplayer issues. And something inside of Light No Fire that has got me slightly concerned as well is even when you're watching this sort of trailer, there's a bit where they're all swimming underwater, and it comes up and it says, "All game footage captured inside of multiplayer." There are a couple of things, though, that it's like inside of No Man's Sky right now. We can't actually have, all 4 players can't have capes. Well, at the start of this trailer, you actually see 4 players standing on top of a mountain, and they've all got capes. So they have improved on something there. But anyway, this is what I mean. So you've got all the players swimming underwater, and it says all game footage captured inside of multiplayer, which is all lovely and good. Now I've got my friend trying to ring me. He knows I stream on a Monday. But anyways, what I don't get is the base building part that you've got just here, okay? So you've got all these little huts being built here, all these little houses being built, which is great. But we all know inside of multiplayer and base building right now, inside of No Man's Sky, is one player can grief another player by building on top of their base. So what happens if you do this? You team up with all your buddies, all your friends, you build this nice little outcrop, and you've got it how you want it. You build a massive great big castle, and you're like, yes, let's log in tomorrow, lads and girls. You log back in the next day, just to find that someone's built a giant freaking concrete phallus in the centre of your freaking castle. Because that can happen right now inside of No Man's Sky. At least we've got planets and galaxies that can separate all of that. Here we're on one giant planet. And I'm not too sure whether points of interest are going to be clustered like little mini city zones. Like, say, like in Starfield, where you've got like cities and things like that. It might be that players are trying to build in all the similar sort of locations. It's a little bit like, say, Power World, for example. Some resources only spawn in certain biomes or certain areas. So you all build bases in very similar places. If that happens, we're going to get bottlenecks. We're going to get people trolling our bases, just like we do inside of No Man's Sky right now. And we've had the trolling issue of bases for at least 2 years now. And the reporting of those bases isn't all that great. And the relationship with Hello Games in actually getting those damaging bases removed isn't a very prompt one. So that worries me a great deal. Also, we had the next-gen update that promised that we'd have 32-player lobbies on the next-gen consoles, Xbox and PlayStation. We haven't got that. You can't have 32-player lobbies on console right now. It's just not a thing. Multiplayer right now isn't where it needs to be for No Man's Sky. Now, Light No Fire is going to be using exactly the same game engine as what No Man's Sky has used. And I see No Man's Sky as being a test bed for what's coming into Light No Fire. And considering that the actual multiplayer hasn't had a lot of love put into it on console for a good 2 years now, worries the frickin' fudge out of me when it comes to Light No Fire. I'm not going to lie, it has got me slightly concerned, people inside the viewerverse. Right, so what else have we got inside the chat here? If you want to spend money on multiplayer game that can't do multiplayer, it turns out to be the case, then I have at it. I won't lose a minute's sleep over it. It's just a game. Yeah, there's a lot of ways of looking at it, I suppose. But when this actual trailer says gameplay footage has been captured inside a multiplayer, and you're seeing that seamless free experience of you swimming with all your mates and stuff, and building with your mates and having a right jolly, we know that's not true in actualization inside of No Man's Sky. It's like now, if you pick up a Quicksilver mission at the weekends, you kind of think, well, they should be a multiplayer mission experience. Since if you try to run it solo, it says, "Are you sure you want to run this mission on your own?" But if you do the stranded lifeform mission, as soon as you dig up that bit of tech and you fix you're going to fix the ship or whatever, whoever digs up that piece of tech, they're running the mission solo, and the other people are just there as set dressing. And it's not really specced out for multiplayer. Even though they're supposed to be multiplayer missions, they don't overly work well as multiplayer missions. Here's the bit that I was on about, where they're all standing on the cliff, and they've all got 4 capes. Yeah, we can't do that in No Man's Sky right now. That whole 4 capes thing. Yeah, let me just rewind it. There you go. They're all in 4. They're all in like 4 capes right there. Yeah, right now, we can't do that. You can't see each other's capes in multiplayer. But then again, this is cinematic camera mode. Maybe if they were there right now, half of them would be look at each other. There was no capes there or something. Who freaking knows? But yeah, a little bit of an oddity. Anyway, this is video footage that I've captured, and I've got it on media player, so it loops. I don't know how to make it repeat automatically on the old YouTube, so there you go. Just stuck it up in the background for now. Oh, hello there, Jason Plays. I've got Jason Plays in the house. I think they are sacrificing some stuff from No Man's Sky to make it work in Light No Fire. Feels like No Man's Sky was made as a single-player experience, and they shoved in multiplayer. Well, if you was watching right at the very start of, No Man's Sky's sort of story, they done like some interviews where they sat down and spoke to people, and they did say that yes, it is a multiplayer type experience. It wasn't then until after they had done those sit-down interviews that Sean Murray took to Twitter and said, if you're coming here looking for that multiplayer experience, you're not going to find it. So there was a lot of to and froing. At least this one knows what it's going to be when it first starts out, which I hand on heart hear you there, Mr. Jason Plays. The only trouble that I have is they've been trying to get multiplayer to work on No Man's Sky for 7 years, and it hasn't. Not really, And although, yes, you're right, they've set out to make this multiplayer right from the start, what about all the headaches that we have in current multiplayer right now, where missions don't really work for multiplayer? And they did put in those missions, and also the Nexus and the Quicksilver missions after they got multiplayer in. And when they first put multiplayer in, after all the patches and everything like that for the first, say, 3 months, multiplayer actually worked really well inside of No Man's Sky for about a good 8 months, until we had finished doing all that weekend mission lore, the summer lore that Greg Buchanan worked on. Then it just got choppy as hell and got broken as hell. But then you've also got PC players that can put in exploits and all sorts of other stuff to actually build on top of other players' bases. But now that's even seeped through to console, where console players now know ways and means of building on top of each other's bases. My worry is that they're not going to get this code locked down enough to stop that from happening inside of Light No Fire. So I've got quite a lot of multiplayer concerns, and also to missions, sort of the way missions are staggered inside of No Man's Sky right now and actually put into No Man's Sky right now. They don't feel like they're made for multiplayer. They feel like they're made as a solo experience, where this feels like it should be multiplayer. But at the same time, it'd be nice if there was the option to run solo. We don't know what the missions look like yet inside of this. We don't know even what the game objective is inside of this right now. It's like what we're seeing on screen right here with this giant golem. Do these golems only wake up at night time? You know, is that why we've got to light fires? Those little shadowy dudes with the beady little eyes, do they only appear at night time? Is there something to do with night and day and the fight against light and darkness? You know, we don't know yet, because we haven't seen any other game trailers. We don't know what the point of this game is. Are we to explore the whole planet to find an objective to go to? Or is it all about building bases, making communities, building little cities and going off on little daily jaunts? We don't know. We honestly don't know. So my first concern is multiplayer and how that's going to be achieved. It's like what we're seeing in the background here. That thing over there looks a little bit like the Nexus. And you see that sort of structure twice inside of this trailer, one of those orby type places. Like, you know, where you see all the red trees and then they're looking off into yonder distance. There's one of those in the distance there. I'm wondering whether they might be some sort of multiplayer hubs. And maybe there's fast travel from those hubs to bases and so forth and so on. But we don't know how multiplayer is actually formed right now. So say if I wanted to join you, Jason, if I wanted to come to your base, will I be able to find it on some sort of list that I can jump to, similar to No Man's Sky? Or am I going to have to get on my dragon and ride for about 2 hours to get to you somewhere on the planet? Who knows? We don't know anything, really. We need more trailers to actually fill in those gaps. So my first concern being multiplayer, mainly because multiplayer in No Man's Sky isn't fixed, and they've had reams and loads of opportunities to fix multiplayer right now, and they haven't fixed multiplayer. That's my issue, is they must know of the problems in multiplayer. The next is the amount of swathe of landscape that has nothing on it. I mean, right now, you're looking down, you can see a couple of boats down there, lovely. You can see a structure there, and you can see a structure perhaps over there. So I can see 2 structures in that whole remit, okay? I can't see much else going on inside of this landscape. There's nothing else I can see, nothing over here on the mountains, nothing anywhere. Now, inside of No Man's Sky, we spawn on a pretty much barren planet that's got little outposts and things, but we're given a crashed ship to go and find. In Light No Fire, I'm really hoping that we're given some sort of random mount egg, so at least we can traverse this giant world. Otherwise, I'd imagine that we're going to start out in a tutorial, punching trees, to build an axe, to build a freaking crafting bench, to build a hut, to then go on a mission, to then get something to ride as a mount, and then it turns into every other generic game that's out there, which is a survival sort of game. I'm hoping that the interest and the pull to bring you into this game is going to be all about the exploration side and open us up similar to how it does inside of No Man's Sky. Yes, you got to fix that crash ship, but that first experience of taking to the sky and seeing just how big this universe is, seeing how big this planet is, perhaps with an awesome mount, I think has to be paramount. But we'll have to see what they actually bring into the world. And again, we don't really know what the lore is. What was that giant floating cube? Is there magic in this game? We don't see him actually cast any magic. There's so many questions that this actual trailer doesn't put out there. Now, you see all this area here. Well, you've got them building some bases. It's all player generated. But I'm not seeing anything on the mountains over here that look like points of interest. You've got a cluster of rocks over there. It looks like Stonehenge. Maybe there might be something interesting there. But I think that's just procedurally placed rocks because they're all copy and pasted. I don't see any caves. I don't see any caves. No caves. I don't see anything interesting on this landscape as in points of interest to say, oh, I want to go there. You know, when they take off on these dragons as well, the actual animation of it taking off, they just take straight off. Just like the ships, how they take off in the ships inside of No Man's Sky. It's like they've just lifted and shifted that code straight into this game. How much more has been lifted and shifted from No Man's Sky into Light No Fire because it's the same engine? Probably a lot, including the multiplayer stuff that I was mentioning earlier. But there was a cutscene just there. Blink and you would miss it. So here we go. I'll see if I can pause it at the right time. But even these little buildings here, a lot of those look player-driven. They don't look like they're actual game-driven. This bit here is freaking hideous. I don't care what anyone has to say on this. There's a freaking flag on an island. There's no coral reefs. There's no nothing in the oceans. There's no trees. There's no bushes, no hedges, no nothing. No buildings, nothing of interest. How much of the planet is going to be swathes of landscape that is barren and dead like this? If I wasn't on a dragon in this and I was on foot, how long would it take me to get from where you're seeing right now over that hill to where there might be something interesting? Okay? I'm just putting it out there. You know, it's like if I leave my front door right now. You know, it's going to take me 15 minutes to get to my local co-op. Not that that's a point of interest. But I think you get what I'm saying. On an Earth-sized Earth-like planet in a game, they've got to put something like every, say, 15 minutes at least for it to be interesting. Even then, people say that's too much. There needs to be 5 minutes with something interesting. Again, look up onto the distance on here, yeah? You've got that one building there, which I don't know whether it's player-driven or whether it's game-generated or what, because we just don't know yet. But look at the rest of this landscape here. There is nothing down there. Nothing. Hardly any even trees. There's some rocks. Yeah, I mean, and that was serious pop-in for the rocks. But there's no buildings. There's nothing else interesting there. So I am really, really concerned that this planet could be a lot of nothingness. It's like a little bit later you get to the desert scene where they're all riding with mounts on this giant swathe of desert right here. But this looks like it could be any desert planet from No Man's Sky. You've got the same sort of formations, the same sort of trees and bushes. But where's the buildings? Where's the points of interest? Where's that thing that's drawing you over that hill? I just don't see it. And there's a lot of bits inside of this that you're like, oh, that looks beautiful. That looks amazing. That looks fantastic. But there's not things that make me go, oh, I mean, look at this. Again, that looks freaking great. I love all the volumetric clouds. I like all the trees. Where's the buildings? Other than that one all the way over there. But how long would it take you to get there if you was on a riding mount that's like four-legged, not winged? Or how long would it take you if you was on freaking foot? Days, perhaps. You know? Freaking insane stuff, to be honest. So I know that a lot of people are raving about this right now, but I've been picking up Power World and playing that, and then you're on a riding mount that flies and stuff like that. And even in that game, you're flying over some landscape that's a little bit dull and a little bit boring. And that map is tiny in comparison to this, you know? And yeah, I do want to explore that. And there's caves and all sorts of stuff there, the procedurally generated ones that aren't all that procedural, to be fair, to be honest. But I do have concerns. I have very deep concerns over this game not being... The trouble is people will imagine this to be something amazing in their heads, and then when it gets delivered, it might have the same pitfalls of No Man's Sky, is what I'm getting at, people. And the pitfalls are multiplayer, being a little bit janky. And then my other concern is, at the moment, No Man's Sky's planets for the last 6 or 7 years have been copy and pasted bits and bobs, and similar buildings copy and pasted bits and bobs. Nothing really of aught there. I mean, their whole loot table in No Man's Sky just doesn't feel like you're getting rewarded for doing your looting. Okay, you can get some ancient bones, you can sell for a load of freaking units, but I'm really hoping that the loot system in this is going to be better. But not at any stage in this do you see a treasure chest. You don't see them with, like, spades digging anything up. Yes, you see a sunken galleon that's under the water, but you don't really get that sort of idea that there might be loot somewhere dotted about in here. I mean, that ruins could have some in. We need to see more videos. It's like this bit here. You know, massive, great, big, beautiful bit of landscape. Draw on the floor. This is beautiful. Heck yes, I would sit there and just look at this for a little while, take in the sights. You've got this structure over here, which I think might be some sort of multiplayer hub. But then, where's the other buildings? Where's the other points of interest? Where are they? You know, yeah, you're going to go to that, because it's the only freaking thing there. You know what I'm saying? It's we need to see a heck of a lot more of this game. Sadly, the way that I think this is going to be trickle-fed to us is I think we might see a trailer pop every season. So we've already had one in winter, this one. I think we'll probably see the next trailer mid-spring. Like, April, March time, perhaps, Maybe June. And then I don't think we're going to see anything else drop until perhaps autumn. And then we might see something really big happen, say in winter. A year from this trailer, we might see something big. But then I think the following year, 2025, we're going to see, again, the same thing happen. Spring, summer, and then I think we might see the actual launch come autumn, winter of this game. I'm thinking late August for the release of this. That's what I'm thinking, mainly because that's what they've done with The Last Campfire. The Last Campfire was pretty similar to that. And also No Man's Sky. And then No Man's Sky had delays for various reasons, as you know. But yeah, I don't think this is coming out this year. I think we're going to see a lot more trailers come out of this year. And I hope that in some of those trailers, some of these concerns that I have get put to bed and put to rest. I mean, I've got other concerns as well around combat, but, hopefully we're going to see a bit more on combat. But the whole lifting and shifting of the code, like even with these dragons taking off and how they take off and seeing how it's just copy and pasted from No Man's Sky, my worry is that they're going to copy and paste some of the stuff with multiplayer into Light No Fire with the base trolling and also the chucking people out of the multiplayer instance. So, yeah, I have my concerns, people. I have my concerns. Anyway, let's have a quick look-see at what you've got over here inside of the chat. So let's scroll on up a little bit. Oh, hello there, Good at Game, and hello, Adventures with Dread. Both of those are content creators and Joyroth content creators. Check them out. Jason Plays. Heck yes, he's an awesome content creator. Check out all their channels, people. Do you think we'll see more about Light No Fire at the Sony event on Wednesday, Captain Steve? You know what, Jason? I didn't even know there was a Sony event on Wednesday. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. But at the same time, I would say that we're probably not going to see anything until spring, is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, if anything, we might hear a little bit more, maybe, on the No Man's Sky next update, perhaps, because that's still bringing in their monies. I don't think we're anywhere close to seeing this hitting the shelves as yet. It looks very empty, very sparse. But then again, I could be wrong, Jason. But I know I would be watching you cover it, because I love your coverage of those sort of events, sir. So I'll be there for that, heck yes. And we've also got Rambo there. Me and 3 of my friends in No Man's Sky built a massive sky bridge on top of 2 massive ball archives that spawned near each other. The bridge worked the first day and never 100% came back. Ever. Just bits. Yeah, me and Scottish Rod, we done a collab build. Because, Hello Games said that collab builds were a thing. But yeah, the only way that we could see both bases at once is we both had to be logged in at once. Anybody that came to visit that collab build would either only see my base or only ever see Rod's base unless both of us were logged in. So it's not a thing. You can't really do collab builds. It's a little bit of a shame. So hopefully they've got that right inside of Light No Fire, because we're all sharing the same one planet. Maybe Jason's right there. Maybe they have fine-tuned multiplayer for Light No Fire, because that seems to be its core aspect. But if they haven't, and it has been a lift and shift from No Man's Sky to Light No Fire, and No Man's Sky has been the test bed, which you kind of would have think that would be the case. You'd think if they'd managed to fix it in Light No Fire, they'd lift and shift the code from Light No Fire into No Man's Sky, and we'd have a seamless multiplayer experience. And that's not the case. So I don't think the proof is in the pudding, as people would say. Hit that like button, says Jason. Well, thank you very much, Jason. It does tickle that algorithm. It does get it out there for people to see it. Heck yes. Like with the water, it looks so much better in Light No Fire, but still broken for No Man's Sky. See, that's a good point, Jason. But if you go back to the old trailers of No Man's Sky and look at the water inside of No Man's Sky, it's got all the reflections on the surface. It looks like the water that we're seeing in the trailer here. So I'm wondering whether, when it does actually drop, we're not going to see all this wavy-davy grass. We're not going to see the reflections on water. This could be high-end PC. We don't know what this has been captured on. I really do hope that they manage to bring everything over here. You see, like all this volumetric clouds? Do you remember the No Man's Sky cloud guy? Well, the reason he was banging on about clouds is because clouds looked freaking awesome in the trailers for No Man's Sky, and they didn't look half as good when it came out and shipped. They got better and better as time went on, but they're still not as awesome as these volumetric clouds that we're seeing inside of this trailer. Heck no, they're not. But yeah, if you go back and look at underwater video footage of No Man's Sky from back in the day prior to launch, it looked nearly as nice as this. In fact, some of that pre-footage, when you see IGN first, has got lily pads floating on the surface, and they've got like tendrils hanging down from the lily pads and stuff. We still don't have that in today's world. Heck no, we don't. So part of me thinks, although this trailer looks fantastic, there could be a lot inside of this trailer that doesn't transition into the game. Although Hello Games has said, what we put in out, we're only going to show what we've done now in our trailers. Well, that's still not true for No Man's Sky, because in some of their latest trailers for No Man's Sky, you see beetles and you see droids on the same planet inside of their trailers. That doesn't happen in No Man's Sky in the game that we've got now. You find me a planet that has droids and beetles on the same freaking planet, mate. I don't know, I'd try and eat my hat. It's not in game unless you use a PC mod. Yeah, so there is that, you know. So as much as I love Hello Games, I think that they kind of bake their trailers to show you the best of what it could be, with a little bit of flair and a little bit of push. And I'm wondering how much of this is flair and push and how much is actual game. Because we know that that's not what gets put out there inside of the No Man's Sky trailers. It's truthful to an extent. You know, 80% of what you see in the trailers is going to be what you're going to be playing. But then there's a few other little subtleties in there that, no, not quite, you know? Cool, yes. So we've got Daniel Hipley there. Hello, this is not my base. Not everyone's base. Coolio. Yeah, exactly that. It could be, though, that you log in the next day to find that people have moved into your gaff. You know what I mean? Squatters. Heck yes. No one likes squatters. No. Heck no. Dave Langer. This is how planet Earth is. You need to give a reason to explore. Exactly that. You know, that's kind of why I put down Pokemon Go. You know? Yeah, you might find the odd Pokemon as you're going out there, but all the points of interest, not so much. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're going to have to walk for 20 minutes. Well, if that's... Let's just hope that we get mounts early on inside of game. But I was thinking to myself the other day while I was playing Power World. You know, Power World, you start off punching trees to build a crafting bench, to build your balls, to go and catch a mount, and then you can go and explore everything. And it happens quite quickly. Is that going to be the same with this? I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, Power World's freaking great fun. Jumping people. I mean, it might give you a taste of what's to come inside of this to some sort of degree. I mean, we do see people with gliders in this floating around. We do see people riding mounts in this, which you do inside of Power World too. So, you know, it's kind of giving us a slight taste for what they might be like. Heck yeah. Anyway, I plan to wait 2 years post-launch. It'd be great then. It's as good a game. Oh, I don't think I can wait that long. I mean, don't get me wrong, people. I am seriously freaking excited for Light No Fire. I'm really excited for this title. And I honestly think if any game studio can pull this off, it's going to be the likes of Hello Games. The only concerns I have is for the last 2 years inside of No Man's Sky, we've been reporting to the Zendesk freaking probably non-stop how bad multiplayer actually is. And when they're saying that it's the core mechanic of Light No Fire, that has me massively concerned. And the fact that exploration in No Man's Sky was supposed to be the poster child for No Man's Sky, exploration, every planet is different. Every planet has the chance to have those majestic diplos, creatures that can bust down the freaking scenery, and all that sort of shenanigans. And then when we get into No Man's Sky, it's kind of copy and pasted worlds everywhere, and it's about as, you know, wide as an ocean and as shallow as a puddle. And what I'm seeing inside of these trailers, I hate to say it, it looks as wide as an ocean and as shallow as a puddle. It does. I mean, I'm not seeing any reason to go and explore this other than the odd 1 or 2 draws of interest. But then there's sways of landscape that just look copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. And I'm just worried that they're going to repeat the similar sort of thing. I mean, the ocean looks more interesting than the land right now to me. you know. But then this, you can see all the corals there and everything when you get out of here. But then later on, like I pointed out, there's a whole area that hasn't got corals, has nothing of interest, and no sort of structures, no trees, no bushes. It's barren. Which means that I think that people are going to hunt for places like this, these little mini oases in the middle of barren landscape, to put something down. It's like that bit that you just saw there, you know, when he comes out of the water and there's a big floating cube. It comes up really quickly, all right? Now, what's interesting there is the cube, right? That's freaking interesting. But it doesn't look like you can go in the dang thing, or if you can, how the bloody hell do you get up there if you haven't got a blinking flying dragon? But look around here, okay? Where's the point of interest there other than this cube? I don't see anything over on the horizons. I don't see anything on these peaks of mountains. I don't see any foliage here. How long has he been walking before he come across this poxy cube? Okay, so it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that that has me very nervous and concerned. And maybe it's wrongly placed. Maybe I should have waited until I saw more game trailers. Maybe I should wait until Shaun of the Murray does some more interviews. Now, right now, you've got IGN doing IGN firsts for Nightingale, Dragon's Dogma. They've even done some for Power Worlds. They've done previews and things like that for Power World. I'm not seeing anything like that happening for Light No Fire. And I'm not seeing anything happen with the Light No Fire website in way of update. In fact, there's a step back massively on Hello Games' one where they've stripped all the freaking merch out. Don't know what's happening there. But at the same time, it makes me feel that there's not a lot going into this. If this was dropping this year, if this was going to come out this year, we would have seen a lot more traffic, a lot more interest. Yes, they promoted a trailer, but I think they did that just to get an idea of how many people are going to wishlist this title on Steam. I think the whole campaign was just to see how much it could get with wishlisting for this title, to give them an idea of gravitas. I think they need to understand how many people are going to be hitting their servers on day one if this goes out. I mean, I'm thinking this might even go into early access. I've put this out there before and it disjointed a lot of people's noses to say, no, they can't do that. It needs to come to every platform at once. But I honestly think they need to test this and see what base building is going to be like. How many people are going to be building bases in close proximity to one another? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that, people. But anyways, let's scroll on down. Let's see what else they're saying. The game isn't actually finished, says Big Butt McGuire. Yeah, I know. That's what I was just saying just there. I don't think we're going to see this until 2025. So, you know, there could be a lot that comes into it from what we're seeing now. I would have liked to have seen a multi-biome planets in No Man's Sky, says Brett. Heck yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? I would just like to see the super biomes that they promised in GDC 2015, where it wasn't going to be set biomes. They said that players could see patterns, and that broke the immersion. Yet that didn't actually happen. That's what they actually promised. So, bit of an odd one there. At the end of the day, we need more information. We have no idea of the game's goals and objectives, says Joe. Yeah, I totally agree, John. I mean, yeah, we need to understand what the objective is of this game. With No Man's Sky, we knew it was to get to the centre of the universe. And Hello Games actually joked and actually said to IGN, when IGN said, you're not going to get pulled back to the start and have to start all over again, are you? They were like, no, no, not at all. Yeah. You know, the secret awaits you at the centre. Well, we all know what happened next. But anyway, let's scroll down. I'm hoping that there is some sort of balance between light and day and the whole thing of, you know, pushing back the darkness, light versus dark and all that sort of stuff, which would be quite a nice paradigm. They did say a lot of this is based on, you know, what we grew up on as kids, you know, like say Dark Crystal and Labyrinth and all that sort of good stuff. So I am hoping that there's going to be awesome missions. I'm hoping there's going to be those retro nods and those retro vibes. It's like, say inside of, say, Neverending Story. One of the things that are most memorable there are those sphinxes and how they shoot the lasers out their eyes. It'd be cool if there's something like that inside of this game. I mean, those giant monoliths coming to life reminds me of like Jason and the Argonauts, you know, with that big statue coming to life and things like that. So I am hoping that there are going to be a lot of retro type nods in here. But if this is a planet-sized Earth, and you find something that you want to share with your friends that is like that, how do you even go about doing that? Inside of No Man's Sky, you've got like the X and Y coordinates because you've got the technology to bring up a scan and a HUD and all that sort of stuff. It makes you wonder how you're going to actually share that sort of stuff in a world like this. Do you scribble down a little map and hand it to somebody? They open it up like, oh, those points of interest. Okay, I can work out roughly where it is. Or are you going to have GPS type coordinates, which will make no real sense inside of a game that seems to be medieval? I'm eager to understand how all this is going to be stitched together and how it's going to work. It's a massively ambitious thing to do, and I just need to understand how they're going to do it. But that's a whole other concerns video. The concerns that I wanted to air here is just multiplayer, and also swathes of landscape that right now inside of this trailer look a little bit barren. I'm not seeing those points of interest to pull you over the yonder hill to explore. I'm seeing the same two things at the moment inside of No Man's Sky that haven't been fixed for the last 7 years that are also prevalent inside of this. That's my concerns for this video, people. Is they're using the same engine, they're using the same team, and they're using the same stuff that we're seeing in No Man's Sky that is still problematic in No Man's Sky now. I really hope I'm wrong, and I would love to be proven wrong, but what I'm seeing inside of this trailer right now doesn't fill me in with too much confidence that the issues that we see inside of No Man's Sky when it comes to multiplayer niggles, exploration niggles, have been addressed, is what I'm saying. And I could be wrong, and there's probably a lot of people that are going to be saying, no, Captain Steve, you know, that they've learned from No Man's Sky and all those things will be fixed inside of Light No Fire. Well, if that's the case, maybe they're not wanting to showcase everything and spoil everything inside of these trailers. Maybe they deliberately stripped out all these points of interest inside of these videos because they don't want to spoil it for the players. Or it could be that what we're seeing here is what we're going to get. But then again, we know from the No Man's Sky trailers, what you see isn't always what you get. So it's a double-edged sword for me. It swings and roundabouts. I really don't know what it's going to be like. I just wanted to make this video and put it out there that right now, No Man's Sky has got problems and had problems for the last 2 or 3 years that haven't been fixed with all the free updates that we've had. We've had loads of free updates, and I don't want to sound ungrateful, but those updates still haven't addressed the core mechanics of exploration and multiplayer, which are the two main drivers that pulled me into No Man's Sky in the first place. I mean, base building wasn't there. You know, I didn't pre-order No Man's Sky because of base building. Base building right now is fantastic. Base building is probably the best bit about No Man's Sky, apart from what I mentioned before about people trolling other people's bases. Now, I don't really want to share out portal codes for bases for fear that people will troll them and destroy them. Okay? I'm worried that that could even happen inside of Light No Fire. Sound off in the comments. I know this is a bit diversive, but at the same time, I feel this is a necessary course of debate, and I think it's one where it can be healthy with debate. You know, as long as you respect other people's opinions in the comments, and I don't want it to escalate into flame wars amongst the community. But at the same time, you can only go by what we've got to go on. We've got this trailer to go on, which if you slow it down and you look at it, and you look at it without wearing your heart on your sleeve, and you look at it properly, there is a lot of empty landscape there. Okay, I don't think there's an argument there around that. There is a lot of empty landscape. I don't know whether we as players are going to be filling those points of empty landscape with our own little mini cities. I know for me, I'm only going to want to build where there's decent enough resources. And you saw that there was a lot of landscape there that didn't have trees, didn't even have rocks, hasn't got the basic resources. So there could just be swathes of landscape that don't even help you for building an outpost, you know? So it could just be that they're just fluff and filler to get you from one place to another. And then if this is an Earth-sized planet, think of how big our oceans are. All right, I'm going to Philippines in December. It's like a 28-hour flight to get there. And that's not even the opposite side of the world. It's not as far as Australia. If I'm going to go and play with Damash, and I'm going to jump on my dragon and ride and get freaking sores on my backside for 28 hours before I get to play with him, that's going to be a problem. So hopefully there's going to be fast travel. I said this in my last video, and the amount of comments I got saying, I hope they don't put fast travel in. Fast travel would destroy this game. I want my exploration. I want to be able to... You want to fly 28 hours? Okay, to go and play with one of your mates? Okay, fine. You can stay up all night and fly your frickin' dragon 28 hours. If this is an Earth-sized planet, it's an Earth-sized planet. Okay? And these dragons aren't got jet fuel in them. They're no Concorde. Okay, anyway, people, that's a different concern. But again, well, it still ties into multiplayer and exploration. So it's the same concern, you know? So I would love to see the trailers I want to see. I want to see one on traversal. So is there fast travel? Is there magic, portals and things like that? It's like these buildings that you see over here. They've got these little glowing troughs by them. Honestly think that's fast travel. And you know when you go into that building, there's all the rabbits there, you know, bowing over. It's got the same green glows inside of there by those cage crystals. Is there a fast travel system inside of these player hubs that would get you to all these different bases, these different locations? I'm hoping so. A little bit like the Nexus and our portal system in No Man's Sky. So, although we've got fast travel in No Man's Sky, you still have to portal somewhere, then get in your ship and fly down to a base. I'm hoping it's going to be similar with this. You teleport to a community hub zone, get on your dragon to fly to your mate's base. That's what I'm hoping, anyway. So, anyway, I don't want to go off on too many tangents and cover off too many concerns, because at the moment, the only concerns I have are the ones that I'm seeing inside of this trailer. I want to see the next trailer, and the trailers I want to see is traversal, combat, and I want to see one on lore and game direction. What's your objective? Like John said earlier, what's the objective? What's the point? What's the draw to be in this? If it is just to build communities and build bases, I'm seeing swathes of landscape here that haven't got the freaking basics to build a basic base. So, yeah, I mean, you can see it in what you're seeing in the background here right now. I'm hoping the objective is to actually do something like push back the darkness, take on giant bosses like this. But I'm not seeing any of these players draw a weapon when that thing freaking wakes up. They just look like they're going to casually walk past it. It feels more like an AMSR jaunt, a bit like No Man's Sky, than something where it's, take this, you! You see them battling a couple of crabs, in all fairness, or shooting a freaking buffalo. But that all just could be part of just the grind of staying alive to feed yourself. You're not seeing any boss battles here, is what I'm saying. I want to see more when it comes to combat, and I want to see more with the game direction, and I want to understand what the actual objective of this game is, because right now I've got more questions than answers. I've got more concerns than I have hype at the moment. Although I am hyped and excited for this, if you said to rate my excited levels for this, because it's a Hello Games game and No Man's Sky was up there, my hype levels for No Man's Sky were through the roof when I saw the E3 trailers. My hype levels when I first saw this trailer were on par with my hype levels when I first saw No Man's Sky. But now that I've watched this trailer probably 30, 40, 50 times, my hype levels have slowly gone down. They need to push something else out soon to bring those back up, because at the moment there's a lot of other games out there like Towers of Azkaban, Under a Rock. There's even Power World with the latest roadmap that got put out that's tickled my taste buds a little. I need Hello Games to put something out rather soon. In spring would be fine, you know what I'm saying? But we need something more than what we've seen here, because there are concerns, genuine ones, I think. Anyway, people, I'm going to end off. Sorry if I didn't read your comments. Oh, there's Scott Gus there. Hello Games is going to let us have super formula powers to travel the world in light no fire. You hope, Scott Gus. I mean, if I went back to that desert scene for a second, if I go back to the desert scene where they're all riding across the desert or whatever, if you look at the actual trees and stuff inside of this scene though, Scott, you're going to see copy and pasted assets amongst all of this stuff. And this could be a desert planet inside of No Man's Sky. It looks slightly more beautiful than a desert planet in No Man's Sky, but not by much, okay? But where's the points of interest? Where's the buildings inside of this? And that it does look like a copy and pasted landscape. What you see here is probably going to be the same 2 miles that way. Just saying. So I don't know. I don't see the super formula happening inside of this, Scott. And even when you're over in, say, like the bit where they're building together just outside the oceans here, when you look at these rocks up here on the mountain, you see these that rock is clearly exactly the same as the one right frickin' next to it, right? Those two rocks, exactly the frickin' same. Copy and pasted assets right there. So I don't even think they're using the super formula inside of this game. I still think they're using created assets that have been procedurally placed. And I think there's enough evidence inside of this trailer that the super formula isn't actually present. Could be wrong. Could be wrong, but I'm seeing patterns. And I'm fairly sure you will too. If you zoom in, which I've done, I've looked at this like in double zoom. I've slowed it right down to half speed. In fact, this is half speed right now. I've slowed it down to even half of half speed. And there's things I've noticed have made me go, okay, all right, fair enough. There's a lot of concerns there, people. I haven't even touched on proc gen. There are proc gen concerns, but I want to see more videos before I go too much into it. And although I've pointed out a couple, I've seen a heck of a lot more. Okay, and I'm fairly sure if you go over it with a fine-tooth comb, you're going to see the same things I've seen. Anyway, people, I'm going to end off now. But yeah, sorry if I missed one of your comments. I will read back the live stream after this actually processes, and also the comments. If you're going to be putting on comments, I will be reading all the comments as well. And it could be that there might be enough comments and what I read back inside of this live feed that might spawn up and spin off another video or something. But yeah, sound off in the comments if you've got something to say, or if I missed your comment here, be sure to put it inside the comments of the actual video and I'll definitely see it there. Till next time, people, salute to Mondo, thank you for watching, cheery bye, goodbye, and goodbye again.